One of the most divisive subjects in all of cinema right now is Star Wars, specifically Star Wars as owned by Disney. Some people love the movies and TV show spin-offs. Other people find them atrocious, appalling bastardizations of a greater product of a time long past. Lately, we have gotten to the show Ahsoka, a character from the spin-off cartoons of the 2000s and early 2010s. And the question is this a good standalone show that you, the audience, should watch? Or is it another in the long line of passable meh from the Disney machine? This is Last Page. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on issue 25 of Last Page. I am your humble host, Maverick King, joined today by the regulars, Rembo, and across the oceans of the internet, Jason Cedars, and joining a special guest for the first time, Star Wars aficionado, lover of all things Star Wars, Roscoe Thompson. So this is a very exciting, because we have four of us, and we can't wait to get into it, because this is a very divisive issue amongst Star Wars fans and people alike. As whether or not some of these shows and movies are good. This one that came out recently and the finale just dropped 8 episodes of the show Ahsoka, starring Rosario Dawson as the titular character. And now we have gathered to discuss this. Please like and subscribe and like, leave a comment on who is the biggest idiot of the episode. Not me, of course. So let's get going. According to the International Movie Database, the show Ahsoka says, after the fall of the Galactic Empire, former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano investigates an emerging threat to a vulnerable galaxy. This is a show of promise. This show was carrying one of the few characters from what is now called Star Wars Legends, basically characters that were created in books and comics and games. Disney retconned all that, saying, no, none of that exists. It's now part of Star Wars Legends. One of the characters that survived that genocide is the villain, as played by Lars Mikkelsen, Grand Admiral Thrawn. And people were very excited for his return. This is going to be a love or hate episode. So right out of the gates, let's start with Jason. The 8 episodes of Ahsoka, you not, previous to starting the show, you had not watched the Clone Wars or the Rebels show. Is this correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay. So going off of your general Star Wars knowledge of the movies and other shows that have come on Disney+, overall impressions and thoughts on Ahsoka.
First off, thank you for having me back on the show after your success of your last episode without me or Remy on the show. I think the views of the last episode of the combined total of all 25 of our have not touched the creator's review. So I thought I was about to be axed and never return onto the last page. So thank you for welcoming.
No. I always need your jubilant behavior and love of everything, Jason, so that we can then turn it into hate burgers and devour them with joy.
I'm glad I have a place still on this episode, this show. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think it is going to turn into a love or hate. There's not too much of a middle ground with this show, which I had a great time overall. This was a fun show, and I can see a lot of the things that people will be upset about it with. But that all aside, I had this epiphany the other day, and it was the fact of what Star Trek has been versus what Star Wars has been. We've had Star Trek forever. There has been Star Trek been coming out since it began. We had a very big drought of Star Wars for a long time, and then we all of a sudden got a lot of Star Wars. So we are just getting Star Wars stuff, and I am happy with that. I have to get to that point that there is a constant stream of Star Wars from now on till we all end, till the ending of our universe. We'll have Star Wars stuff, and that just makes me happy. So that is the level that I'm at with Star Wars entertainment. It's something Star Wars. So my bar is not set very high with any of this sort of stuff, and I am happily engaged in all of it. And so yes, I feel like the show should not have been called Ahsoka. It maybe should have been called Sabine Strikes Back, or Rebels season 7 or Clone Wars season 8 or whatever it would be. So it was a little misleading in that aspect that we were just going to get this Ahsoka story. So I feel like it was a lot of other things and other characters that were a little bit of the focus. But all in all, I think it had a nice setup for a second season is what I feel like this first season was. It was us getting a whole lot of information for a lot of characters that a lot of us were being introduced for the first time. So this was a great setup. And even as the finale kind of ended, I knew it was going to not tie up any of the loose ends or the bows that we kind of wanted to see. So if we're looking at it from that aspect, I think it did a great job, but it definitely had some shortcomings. But all in all, I really, really, really actually enjoyed the season.
Oh my God, guys. I literally cried. Through every episode. It was so beautiful. Every interaction was so nice. It looked so great. I'm so happy. More Star Wars. No. I talked to Matt the other day and it was like, where do I rank this? Mandalorian season 2, Mandalorian season 1, massive drop to Mandalorian season 3, followed by Boba Fett, followed by where does this show? I think I would put it above Mandalorian season 3.
You just had a Mitch McConnell moment.
Yeah, I did. You see that? Aneurysm. It's so meh at best, but there are valleys within that meh of when it gets really stupid and stupid in a Dave Filoni is just a bad director who can't get anything out of his cast. I don't even think he's trying, and it's reflected into his cast. Nobody looks like they're trying to actually put on a performance in this show. And I have to put the blame on him as the director. It's your job to do that. You're like the coach and these are your players. So I just felt like it's a show that could have been a lot better had there been characters with more interesting personalities and more depth. I love the Star Wars world and universe so much, and there's so much potential. But we are not even batting 500 with Star Wars content. And that's how I feel with this show. Is I'm just like, yeah, this is more subpar content of what we could be getting if we really put some effort into it and didn't just make it for the very bare minimum bottom line, which is Disney making shows for 8-year-olds. This is just another show that's like, oh, hey, we're trying to go to so that way little kids can, the next generation of little kids can really get into it in the same way that they would get into a cartoon. And obviously Dave Filoni makes cartoons. That's all he does. That's all he has done is make Star Wars cartoons. So I did not enjoy my time watching this show. There's like some moments here and there, but overall I'm done. I am officially done with Star Wars. I am retiring from watching any Star Wars content after I watch Andor. I've been told I have to watch Andor. I will watch Andor, and then I will move on. I will never watch Star Wars again.
Roscoe, you have us all at a disadvantage because, unlike us, you have watched Clone Wars, you have watched Rebels, so these are characters that are near and dear to your heart, whereas, speaking for myself, went in, I know nothing other than I know Ahsoka because she's kind of a popular a character that never appeared in the movies. I'm familiar with her. I didn't know anyone else other than Thrawn because I did read the Timothy Zahn book, Heir to the Empire, back in the day before Disney took over. So I'm very curious to let you spill your guts and tell us how great that this show was as a continuation of these characters that nobody's ever heard of. Go ahead.
Dude, this show was amazing. I don't know what you guys are hating it for. It is like, it was so good. I mean, don't get me wrong. The actor that played Hera, it's hard. It was hard to watch that character. But then again, if you watch like Rebels, she's like the quirky mom in Rebels, so she's trying to play like this quirky character, but you're like, your delivery's not great. unlike Ray Stevenson, who plays Balin, you're like, oh my gosh, dude, like, let me step out of the way and let's make just a series about you. It should have really been about him because he delivered on every part that he ever touched. I'm so sad that he passed, but he had great things. And I think the show was amazing. Like, it connected so many things from Star Wars Clone Wars and so many things from Star Wars Rebels into a series that it was live action. So it did have like Dave Filoni's pulling. I know you hate Dave Filoni so much, but I think he's great at storytelling. Like, I don't personally agree with like the acting that a lot of these characters gave off, but the story behind it, I think, is really well intertwined with each other because it ties everything back together. So like, you see like when Anakin comes out and they do the Clone Wars flashbacks and they tie the characters from the Clone Wars into the actual Star Wars saga live era. And then they go into the final episode where you see like, you see the Dathomir planet and we get to go back see from like Clone Wars era. And you're like, oh my gosh, they brought this spaceship to Dathomir. What are they going to do next? And then they also have the Mortis gods. That was like when Balin was standing on top of the rock with like the man.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was.
There's the Mortis gods. So there's a 3-episode story arc in the Clone Wars, and Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan get trapped on this planet, and these are considered like the gods of the Force. And the father keeps the balance between the good and the evil, and the daughter represents good, and the son represents the evil, and he keeps the balance. And what he did is he offered Anakin this role of taking over, but Anakin in the Clone Wars denied it. And so when you kind of see episodes, I think it's like episode 5 where Anakin's talking with, or episode 4 and episode 5 where Anakin's talking with Ahsoka, you kind of get the feeling like he's taking over the role of the balance between the Force. And so you feel like he's taking the lead role. And in the Clone Wars series, Ahsoka takes on the essence of the light side of the Force. And so you're like, okay, well, are they now saying that Balin's taking on the dark side? Or are they looking for the dark side on this planet? Also, is this planet where the Force originated from? I don't know. Like, these are like so many cool things that you're like, I'm thinking about like how they're trying to make the next steps, but they're intertwining their stories really well. And I love how they brought Thrawn in. I know that you complained about him earlier when we were talking. You're like, oh yeah, this old man, and you're like, yeah, he is old, but he's really smart. So I like how they made his character, and I like how they used the original voice actor from Rebels to play the character. That really meant a lot to me because I like his voice is very distinctive in Rebels. That I'm super glad they were able to bring it over into the live action. I know you have a lot of things you probably want to like hate on, but I think overall
there are. Believe me, there are. I do appreciate, because I can see you're beaming. You are beaming with absolute joy. Like, I am envious because I have no soul. I'm a Raiders fan. I have nothing to get excited about as far as entertainment goes, right?
See, this is clearly the uppity, positive attitude of a Patriots fan. So it is just like dwelling in championships.
After this Sunday was hard on my soul.
One loss. Heavens to Betsy.
It was to the Cowboys, and that was a terrible loss.
Okay. So I appreciate that you're so into it, and I think this perfectly represents Ahsoka's appeal, in that, yes, if you watch those shows and if you know those characters, then this show appeals to you because, just like you were saying, oh my God, it's that thing. It's the God people. Oh my God, it's that planet. Oh my God, he's making the lightsaber like his master. Oh my God, what does that do for me? What does that do for me? It doesn't do anything for me because all I see is a bored out of her mind Rosario Dawson, who it looks like she's either stoned or rolling this entire show. Like, half eyes open, just, Sabine disobeyed my orders when I specifically said, don't leave. We're going to go in the sperm whale's mouth and we're going to hang out and maybe it'll bring us to where we're going. She looks bored out of her mind. Sabine is her supposed apprentice that she's supposed to be teaching, and her ability to go from not using the Force to using the Force incredibly fast is wildly hilarious. So we can touch upon that later. The general lady that you said, Mary Winstead, whatever her name is, just worthless character, doesn't inspire any confidence. That's the thing, is that this show and Dave Fugazi's whole appeal is, hey guys, these are those things from that thing. and it might lead to something. But generally speaking, what it leads to is like the Dark Inquisitor character. Oh my God, he could be, who's that? It could be Starkiller. It could be, is that Ezra? Oh my, oh, he's dead. It's not even a guy. Oh, it's like a corpse. It's just, that is what we were left with Star Wars. It's just start building the fan theories of what this incredible thing might be. And then, oh, it's not really anything because he has no vision, because this whole season was built as Thrawn's coming back. The big bad villain, Thrawn's coming back. What's he going to do? Oh my God, he could do anything. He could fly away at the 11th hour and do absolutely nothing this entire season other than just talking very stoically, and I will talk like this, and this will mean that I'm in control. But at the end of the day, he declares victory by running away.
He got out of
I
his
have
universe.
won the day, and runs away.
Dude, he got out of his universe. He did win. He did the entire
He
point.
won. There's a victory.
Oh,
Oh my
won.
God, he won.
Yeah.
And it's so incredible to watch him win, running away. It's like you built him as this giant threat, and what do I see him? He runs away.
I don't know. He ran towards the threat. I don't know what he's running away
whole
from.
season, which they didn't even build this as season 1, by the way. This was called Ahsoka. The show Ahsoka. There's no guarantee of a season. Even now, there's no guarantee of a season 2.
Yeah,
There's pending season 2. So this could have been the only thing we got. And we got a big build up to big bad villain Thrawn. And what do we get? Nothing. So that's this whole show. This whole show is just built up on these crazy ideas of what it could be, when really what it boils down to is bad acting, bad directing, bad screenplay writing. I mean, all the dialogue are these basic, just one-to-one person, like one line. No one has anything to do other than just stand, cross her arms, put their arms behind your back. There's nothing interesting happening at any point in this show, other than when Ray Stevenson's on screen, who is amazing, despite the fact that he has very little to work with in terms of script. So, Roscoe, the where does this? And I have a lot of questions, and I'm hoping you can help me.
Okay.
Rebels. There's the Clone Wars show, which I never watched because I hate the animation. The animation is all polygon-looking garbage, so I never watched those terrible shows.
You gotta get past it. You gotta get past that.
No, I do not have to get past it. I can stay right where I am.
It's so good. Oh.
It's the animation is so piss poor that I can't get into it. So anyway, it's just like Spectacular Spider-Man. The episode of the content is fine, but the animation sucks so hard I can't watch it. So there's Clone Wars. There's Rebels. Rebels takes place when?
It takes place during the Empire. So during episodes, I guess 4 and 5.
Okay, so if you can bridge the gap for myself and the audience, and lead us into episode 1 of kind of where these characters are, or like they're looking for a map, right? Where exactly does this show kind of finish with Rebels and pick up where they're trying to find Ezra? I'm still confused as to Ezra's whole mission.
Yeah, that's probably if you probably watched the season finale of Rebels, you'd understand where everything's really taking place off, because it kind of left on a clip. They left the show on a cliffhanger. So what happened at the end of Rebels is they were fighting and they fought Thrawn through technically 3 seasons. And at the very end, they're on a Star Destroyer and it's just Ezra and Thrawn. And Ezra gets a special force ability where he calls out to the space whales and he has them come and connect themselves to the ship, and they just take off into hyperspace. So he does it to save his friends and take Thrawn out. So you don't know what happens, and it just kind of ends there. And
Does he attach the space whales to a Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how the Star Destroyer ended up over at the other planet. So they take the Star Destroyer with Ezra and Thrawn in it and take them away. And that's where it kind of ends. And then the Empire falls with Luke Skywalker and all that stuff. And apparently then they're just trying to be like, hey, we want to go find our friend. We want to go find Ezra. How do we find him? But at the other point, you have the Dathomirian Morgan. She hears the Night Sisters call out to her through the dark, their witch magic, I guess like dark side of the force, witch magic kind of thing. They haven't really clarified what it is, but I'm guessing falls more on the dark side. They called out to her. So she was like, okay, I'm going to go get Thrawn and go become a Dathomirian witch. So I'm going to look for a map to get to this galaxy, because apparently there's a bridge between it. And that's where they kind of picks up at the beginning of Ahsoka. So you have these two storylines that are coming together. They're building the one they're trying to find Thrawn with the death of Miriam, which that is a story that they're building themselves. And then they're continuing the bridge of Rebels into this season.
Interesting. So, Remy, that beginning, we already talked about Remy, Jason, and I. We have a previous episode where we talked about the first 2 episodes, so we don't want to retread too much. But that's where we get this whole the map thing, which is hidden, not hidden in a press triangle 3 times, and then it turns counterclockwise before it matches, and then gives you the map or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Remy, if you can talk about Ahsoka as a character, the map, kind of that whole like the beginning of the journey of the show, and then Jason, if you can follow up on that.
They so blatantly ripped off Treasure Planet with the map. The map, you can do a side by side. People have gone on and done it already. You can go to YouTube and watch side by side a video of them unlocking the Treasure Planet map and them unlocking the Ahsoka map.
It's funny.
Virtually identical. Identical. The way it's incredible. They couldn't even anyway.
Maybe they're tying the universes together.
Yeah. Captain Flint's gonna show up any second now. So Ahsoka's journey is that she is also wanting to find her friend, I guess. And Roscoe, if I'm not wrong, there is no Sabine being trained by Ahsoka to be a Jedi. None of that is in Rebels, or
kind of. So in Rebels, I think it's season 3. Kanan, the guy who trained Ezra, and also is Hera's, I guess, partner. They have a kid together.
Okay.
He was training Sabine how to use the darksaber.
Okay.
So
but not like actually force powers or anything like that.
No, there was no force powers, but he was training her how to fight with it because like they were trying to allude to in Rebels that there's more than just holding a lightsaber. You actually have to understand how it flows and how it connects to the Force and how you connect with it and how it becomes like an extension of your body. So I guess that's where they're trying to pull this Force thing into. I wasn't a super big fan of it. I'll put that out there too. Okay. I'm not a super big fan.
It just felt forced. It just felt forced. Like they were trying to be doing this. Like it's weird enough to do it between 2 adults, but like, and then there's supposed to be characters that are already established, but they're not. Anyway, I couldn't agree more with what you said, Mav, as far as Rosario being so boring. You know who should have? Oh, an actress that we have talked so highly of on this show. An actress that is very capable of doing her own stunts, at which Rosario Dawson is clearly not, because, oh my God, watching Rosario Dawson attempt to wield a lightsaber is one of the most painful things of this entire show. It's awful. Halle Berry would have been so much better for this role because she can't help but be charismatic. Even in a role of a Jedi, unless she like full on Mace Windu'd, she would have killed this role. She would have been way better in the fighting scenes. Her arc is that she's frustrated with Sabine and she's like, I don't know if her motivation is more that she's interested in attack or getting Thrawn or getting to Ezra, but nobody in the show, not once, talks about why Thrawn is such a threat. And this is a huge miss in this show, is they're like, ooh, Thrawn might come back. Ooh, Thrawn might come back. But not once is it ever explained or shown as to why one random blue-skinned motherfucker with 1 Star Destroyer who can't even shoot a Star Destroyer at anything, mind you, not to skip ahead, but oh my God. All of these characters, their motivations are so paper thin that as you're going through these episodes, it's just like, we just got to find our friend. Like, oh, Thrawn's coming back. Got to stop that because he might be bad for some reason that we don't know. Like, it's frustrating that the story is so thin that the only way you could really enjoy the show is if it's all built on a mound of nostalgia because it's from a cartoon that you love. No offense, Roscoe. But that's the only way you can really love the show because, and I get it, because there's certain things that happen like that are so nerdgasmic. When Captain America picks up the hammer, it's so nerdgasmic, even if it's like, it's not like based on any one amazing comic, but it's just like, oh my God, it's amazing to watch him pick up the hammer. And it's a visceral feeling that I got. And I can recognize that that's ridiculous. But all these characters, for being a live action show, all of these characters and what happens throughout the course of this show is so mundane. With the exception of Ray Stevenson. With the sole exception of Ray Stevenson. That it feels like over the course of the whole show, it's so slow and uneventful that the only things that stand out in my mind are things that don't make any sense, which is just constant retconning and adding in of force powers that never existed before.
So Jason, what about the show do you like? Like, what to you? You said you like the show. What of the characters, of the story, of these scenes, what of the show stands out to you? If you're going to gush about the show, what do you like most about Ahsoka?
I think we all agreed with our first kind of statements of this show that the acting was not great. The characters, the casting, it was not hitting the mark. And I feel like that's all we're harping about is the actors and the characters and the parts. Like, we established that already, that was shitty. And like, we have to like enjoy it for what it is besides that. So it's like, you guys should have just clicked it off after 5 minutes, you know? So it's like, we are sitting in this because we want something a little bit more out of it. You know, we want to be like in this world. And I'm not going to defend the fact that it relies extremely heavily on watching Rebels and, what's the other one? I'm sorry. Rebels and Clone Wars. So it really does suck about those two factors right there. Like, those are the biggest faults of this show is that, yeah, the actors are not bringing it and it's all this past thing. So, but besides that, it's like kind of what I said in that opening statement is it's so just much fun to be back in the Star Wars world and to just explore more of lore and mythology of this world. You know, this is just another universe, another storytelling format, and another just universe to do some of these stories in. And I think this is painting a good picture of a way to do more stories with magic and like a lot what Roscoe was just saying, where it is so much more of like the past of what the Force is, Dothmir, these planets and this history of all of these things that like it's doing a really good job of that. Like I would like for you guys to try to argue against that fact right there. Like, the lore building of this show is incredible. You know, it's setting a lot of good points for lots of great stories to come from this, you know, and it's, yeah, it was kind of shittily delivered by some of the casting. And I just think we need to look past that and kind of move on. And we harp about some of these good gems that we've got in here because like we haven't gotten to see a lightsaber ever be built before and like see what the components are of it. You know, there's so much things where it talks about how that's something you have to, accomplished for being a Jedi, but we never seen anyone actually do it. So we sat there and we got to see these two like actually have like a cool moment about talking about a past master that I knew nothing of, but I still was very engaged in this scene. You know, that says a little right there that I had no idea who the Kanan, is that the Kanan? Yeah.
Kanan
is, but I liked how he found the piece that was Kanan's other piece that he had saved, you know, to make this lightsaber for his apprentice, you know, down the road. You know, it's just this great legacy, this great lore stuff that we get with Star Wars in this universe. So that's the long and short answer right there. It's like I try to look past all of that shitty stuff that we've already harped on for, you know, the past 30 minutes or whatnot. It's like let's focus on some of those cool things like light speed traveling whales. Like, that shit's fucking awesome to me.
Tentacle hentai monsters. Call it what it is, Jason. Tentacle hentai monsters.
Yes, thank you. We needed to check that box for our last episode to talk about that. But I mean, just random shit like that. And, you know, just like, what else did I was cool about? Oh, like the creatures that they rode, like those kind of wolf-like looking snake. Like I don't even know what they kind of were, but that was just another new creature. It wasn't just a speeder bike or something that we've seen before. It's just introducing some new cool like Star Wars creatures and whatnot. So, and wait, I'm sorry, I should have talked about this at the very beginning. I mean, zombie stormtroopers. I mean, I did not think that we can get to see that in the Star Wars universe. As soon as I started seeing zombie stuff, I'm like, yeah, they have now crossed the Walking Dead in Star Wars now. I know. It's just fan service and hitting that mark and stuff. But I would love to have the argument that this was some of the coolest stormtroopers that we've seen in any kind of stormtroopers. As far as they were actually hitting every one of their targets. They were not some stupid random stormtroopers missing and doing the Wilhelm scream off of every cliff that they came across. And Epoch. I can't remember the guy's the name, but the gold-faced fucking man, like that was cool. Like I swear.
Was that Enoch?
Enoch, yes, yeah. I think they said that.
Enoch? Oh, I was so lost because that actor. Okay, it's the actor from The Expanse plays him, and I saw him on the billing.
Oh.
And I was like, "Where is Wes Chatham?" I was like, "Where is he?" You put him behind a fucking mask. That's so lame.
Yeah. But see, in season 2, we might see that the man behind the mask. But
come back for season 2. You might see something. We don't even know if the show's gonna happen yet. Come back. All right, I can't take it anymore. All right, first of all, I should have said spoiler.
No.
Spoilers. Should have said full-blown spoilers from the beginning. Doesn't matter. The bottom line is, if you've seen the Clone Wars, or if you've seen Ahsoka, or if you've seen Clone Wars and Rebels, you will already have watched this. And if you haven't, you don't need to watch this. Believe me, you don't need to watch this show. And I can't help it. That just everything you talked about, the stormtroopers, for example. If there's anything dumber, the idea that you could have zombie stormtroopers in this show could have been cool, I guess, maybe. Other than the fact that you made them more slow and more worthless than they already were. They're already worthless drones that can't shoot, and then they were slower, clumsier, dumber drones than they previously were. But apparently the show's so smart because it incorporates witchcraft, and the whole and Thrawn's whole thing is to keep these sisters around because they're so powerful and they can do things like they can bring back dead stormtroopers that are even worse and more useless than they were previously. Like if you brought them back and they were bloodthirsty, they ripped off their helmets and they were trying to eat you. And Jason, you just said they were accurate. How many of them do they kill? How many of them in this show do they kill, Jason? How many?
I mean, the lightsaber's blocking every shot. I mean, that's how it works, Oh, wait, Sabine got hit multiple times, actually.
Oh, dude, don't get started on that one with the lightsaber. Oh, it pissed me off with that thing. I've never been so mad about that one.
Wait, which one?
But she gets stabbed with a lightsaber in episode 1.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that on our first episode.
All time, my favorite Jedi ever. He is like the best Jedi ever. Qui-Gon Jinn, the Gray Jedi, the guy who goes with the Force against the code and against the Jedi, the Council and everything like that. Only goes with the Force. Dies from a lightsaber wound in episode 1. And then they're like, oh, this is now a toy every other time it's ever used with anyone. It's useless. Darth Maul comes back with his body cut in half. Anakin Skywalker's get all of his limbs cut off. Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 2 gets just tapped the lightsaber on his arm and his leg and falls down, but they're still attached. They're like, how is it that, Sabine gets stabbed through the lightsaber and she's like, oh, I'm fine. I can go fight now. Like, I'm going to go find Ezra next day. You're like, what in the world? Like, this thing is supposed to be this ultimate power, this ultimate weapon that only a few can wield, and now you're making it like a kid's toy. I was actually really mad about that one.
Well, unlike Padme, Sabine might just have an incredible will to live.
She refused to die. That's what it was.
Michael Jordan in the finals is just, she was not going to die no matter how hot that lightsaber is.
They should have pulled out a super random reference, but they should have pulled out the was it Assassin Ninja, the movie where it's like everybody has like a heart on the wrong side of their chest, so they get stabbed through the heart, and they're like, "Ha wrong side." It's just Sabine's just like, "Ha, my large intestine is up here." Just like,
Dude, one of the animes.
I moved all my organs and vital organs, and it just went right through.
Yeah, that's one of the animes I'm watching. Buddy can move his organs inside of his body, so if you try to stab vital organs, he moves those to the side.
So one of the reasons this show doesn't work for me is Ezra. Ezra is this character that we're not introduced to until towards the end of the show. And the whole show is predicated on Sabine having this deep desire to go find him. But correct me if I'm wrong, they're not fucking.
No, that's her friend's baby's daddy.
Yeah, they're just friends.
Baby daddy.
Kind of think of you never watch Rebels, but in Rebels, Kanan and Hera, which were kind of a couple, and they had Sabine with them at the start of Rebels, and they brought Ezra in, and they all became just like a family of outcasts or family of rebels. So no, they're not together.
So you buy, as a person that watched Rebels, you buy that Sabine would risk the entire galaxy by giving the map over to Ray Stevenson and then believing he's not going to immediately kill her by taking her prisoner and then taking her towards Ezra. That's all believable that she would do all that?
I mean, like, would you save your sister if she got taken to another galaxy?
I mean, Star
My
Wars.
My sister isn't some dude that I grew up with in the orphanage.
Hey, they went to save Han Solo from Jabba. I mean, it's just it's all
giving over the reins to the universe.
Planet.
I mean, they weren't giving over the reins. I mean, not that.
This was the holy grail of finding the blue guy with one Star Destroyer, which apparently he's very terrifying. And this is a very important thing that's been built up. And yet she's just like, yeah, I need to find that. And then, again, the Ezra thing, please explain this to me. The dude is just hanging out like Jesus amongst the lepers with all of these hermit crab people. Can you tell me definitively that he's not fucking these crabs? Why else would he abandon all of his friends?
It's a kid's show.
He loves his friends so much he abandons all of them to go hang out with crabs. He's clearly fucking. He learns their language, learns how to talk to them.
This reminds me of the Family Guy episode where Peter asks if Count Dracula ever killed any of the Count killed any kids and drank their blood. Like, this is Sesame Street. Of course, the Count didn't kill any kids and drank their blood. It's like, but I think when the first time we reviewed Ahsoka, I said there's no one's head's going to get cut off and rolled.
It happened.
Yeah, I can't remember whose head it was.
Off screen. It's off screen though, which is super lame. But
okay,
so my dance
point,
line very finely.
My point of the whole, he's definitely screwing these crabs, is that why, if he's so important, if his friends are so important, why did he abandon them to hang out with crabs in the middle of nowhere? And then when Sabine shows up, he's like, all right, you're ready to go? It's just like, the fuck, bro? Like,
I think
I don't understand any of this.
Like, they were all bringing the crab people with them to leave. I feel like that was
no. Like, why is he with the crabs from the get-go?
He ran away after he got on. I mean, they left that up to interpretation, I'm guessing. But it seems
it seems like he is just basically been literally sitting on his ass doing nothing when he's apparently a super powerful Jedi. So powerful, he can stop a lightsaber attack with his bare fucking hands. He literally holds a lightsaber blade with his hands. But he's so powerful that he can't even attempt to take Thrawn on. He had like 3 or 4 or 5. How many years has he been on that planet?
I think 5. I think it was
5 years, and couldn't find the time to kill one stupid non-force wielding general? Like
Admiral.
Sorry, no disrespect.
Grand Admiral.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, you literally just been sitting on your ass, just being like, hope somebody shows up someday. I guess I'll just make soup with my hermit crab wife. Like, I just maybe they're in polyamorous relationships. I don't know.
It's such a trope, though.
Partners.
I mean, it's such a Star Wars trope to hang out with a village of some weird race. I mean, every single movie and show has that checkbox. You know, it's like must spend at least a couple years with some tribe where you cannot communicate. You know, learn from. You know, part of the hero's journey. You know,
Sand people, Jawas, Gungans,
Ewoks.
Yeah.
The blue milk guys with
gross.
Or not even those guys. It was the other ones that built the huts after every time.
Yes, porgs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's just a classic. And you know, talking about classic movies, I mean, this essentially this entire show was Empire Strikes Back. You know, it was called
gross. Take it back.
There's the failings of the good guys is essentially what this was. You know, it's like it's not, of course, the Empire Strikes Back. You know, but as a concept, it's like, why am I even on the show?
That's why you're on the show, Jason. So you can say the most ludicrous. Like we're basically having you. Okay, you know, okay, the Ancient Aliens guy. I know I look like him right now. I look like him right now, but you talk like him, and that's why you're on the show.
You need to zoom in on my eyes for the eye roll when you say stuff like the massive eye roll that I have to do. But okay, back to my really important point of this. Actually, that I have in my notes right here is like Empire Strikes Back. I know that's why we don't like this is because the good guys lose at the end. But it's exactly like that. Like I felt like them looking out at the end at the stars. You know, all like Luke and Leia. Probably inappropriately too close during that scene. but this is essentially that, you know, it's setting up for the next one, which blows my fucking mind that they did this without having a season 2 greenlit, where it's banking on so much more of the second season, like filling in the gaps and stuff like that.
Well, I think the actual idea is to lead this into the Mandoverse movie that would actually go to theaters. Because they've basically set it up now to where they can make the Thrawn movie. They talked about this. They haven't commented on it since April, but back in April, there was news that they were building this show into the Mandoverse movie.
Honestly, that makes so much sense.
I mean,
Yeah, right. Because that's the thing is they've built up all the other shows. Everybody's met now. Like everybody's crossed over here or there, and now they can have their cinematic movie. I assume it would be one movie. God save us if they actually intend to do a trilogy of this. But
no, that's so Lars like holds the weight of a lot of the villains. I feel like or actors, and then being a great villain in this. Lars Mikkelsen, yes, is fantastic. I think a lot of the other actors, I mean, them being just. Of course, not raising the bar too high, but he is fantastic in this. And I don't know if you guys did any IMDb on Lars Mikkelsen, but
what? Okay, I'm not a noob here, Jason. I know who Lars Mikkelsen is.
But okay, I didn't. I look at his IMDb and it's massive of amount of movies that I've never seen before. I mean, it's like 100 things he's been in, and I'm like, haven't seen that, haven't seen that, haven't seen that, haven't seen that. So I mean, great for him to have a lot of like, you know, IMDb, you know, stuff, but I couldn't believe that I hadn't seen him before with what he's bringing to the project. You know, he's a carrying the weight of a lot of this, and so I feel like he could actually be a great villain in a movie at theaters. You know, as far as some of the other leading actors not being able to kind of pull the weight. But yeah, no, he was great in this. Yeah.
The let's gush for a brief second before we go back to complete darkness. Ray Stevenson obviously is just the only true standout. I mean, they sold this show as being Thrawn, and Thrawn we get nothing but him just talking boredly about things he might or might not do, or when he can crush when he can crush Ahsoka and her ships and send a bunch of troops, and he decides, I don't need to send, that's a waste of resources. Like, waste for what? These are the only people after you, whatever. But Ray Stevenson is the guy that when he's on screen, you're like, dude, this dude's awesome. He's big. He's hulking. He just looks like he's in control. Every line he delivers with intense purpose. The only sad part is that the lines are just so bad that there's not much to build on. The best part of the whole show, and Roscoe and I were talking about this a week ago when we were discussing the show initially, which is my favorite part of the whole show. Maybe even the only part I like of this whole show is when Ray Stevenson and his apprentice are talking about the old times, and his apprentice says, do you miss the Republic? And he says, I miss like what it could have been. And that's the coolest idea, lore building, Jason, if you want to add it like that. Like the real idea of like, looking, what is good, what is evil, the whole Palpatine idea of, good from a point of view, or which ties back to Obi-Wan in episode 6 saying, well, from a point of view, or episode 3 when Anakin's like, from my point of view, everything's a point of view. Mm-hmm. And so it is really cool to the idea of this guy that is a mercenary and he respects the light side, but he's also more dark side. And he had his own idea like of what this higher purpose was going to be, which was the Republic and the Jedi Order. And it wasn't that. I loved that. But then the line just dissipates. It doesn't go into a speech about, deeper concepts. It just kind of ends there. But Roscoe, you like that. You were just as excited as I was. How did you like that kind of, Ray Stevenson as a character, but then also his dynamic with his apprentice and him being this remnant of a time, a bygone era?
I absolutely love it. I don't think he's a Sith. I think he has a higher calling. I would consider him like probably the second true gray Jedi to be in the Star Wars universe. First being Qui-Gon Jinn and him being second, where I think he falls more on the true darker side of a gray Jedi, where it's like he would fight a Jedi and kill them, but he has a higher calling and a higher purpose. And he knows that he loved the idea of the things in the past, but the thing is, like, he knows that it was so wrong and so flawed that it fell away, that they just became puppets of a greater system and just enforcers of the law. They weren't actually people that followed the Force like he believes he's trying to do now and what he's tried to train his apprentice. I absolutely love everything he's doing, and I'm so sad to see like there's nowhere to go with him right now. But I love that, like, I feel like he was going towards trying to figure out who the gods were, like Mortis gods, and how they control the Force and all that stuff. And I feel like he has a higher calling than what we've seen him play right now, because he's using every single person in the entire series to get something else. He's trying to go to a different place, but he needs to use them as a tool to get there. So I absolutely love that.
That was such a shame. Like, I felt like so much of his story was being set up for the second season. Like, we barely even saw him in the last episode. It was just that one scene you described earlier with him on the statue. It's like we were going to get this great Ray Stevenson, Balin story in the next season. And what's going to happen? If they recast him, or if they just like say he tripped and fell off that statue.
They're just
that's the last thing, is him just tumbling down off of it. It's like, oof, the second great
higher calling is just to fall off the statue.
Literally higher calling.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully, we do get to explore more of his story, because he was one of the better characters to come out of this.
I do have the perfect recasting for this character, but go ahead, Rem, your thoughts on Ray Stevenson.
So unfortunate. It's really just a testament to the Star Wars universe. Is just like, we can't have anything nice anymore. Is like the one little beacon of light from this episode, or from this show, is extinguished. And really, really sad, really unfortunate. But just in a show that is so shallow, he has the most depth. He has like a code that he lives by. Clearly, he gives his word, and he really makes sure when he gives his word to Sabine that it's followed through with. He's working as a mercenary, and he under the idea that he really believes in what he believes that Thrawn is a better answer for the galaxy than the Republic, and clearly not in a I want everybody to be enslaved under the Empire. And again, we don't get more of his ideas on that, but that is the basis of his character. I don't know if he ever uses the phrase necessary evil, but that seems kind of maybe his take. I think whoever did this stunt choreography for this show should be fired, drawn, and quartered, because it's all so bad. And it's like, again, it's not his fault. You really should have somebody telling people how to wield a lightsaber, but him wielding the lightsaber is like, and it says all the bolts are just perfectly flying straight at his lightsaber, and he's not even moving it. Like, but he does have some good moments, but that is just a lot of it is like that. And in a show that's a bunch of tiny women, it's nice to have it's not just a dude, but like an excessively hulking figure just makes him that much more imposing. And yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say other than what you guys already did. I really agree with all that, but it's really unfortunate. I assume they will recast. It's funny because if he wasn't already in the show as like a one-off rando character, I was thinking you could just do Clancy Brown.
Oh yeah. Oh, but he's
Clancy
already
Brown totally could have done that role.
He's already though.
And similar look, not too different, but so unfortunate that won't be happening. But Mav, I would love to hear your casting.
All respect to the passing of the great Ray Stevenson, but if they were to recast the Hound, Rory McCann, would be phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Yeah, has the size, the frame, the presence, the attitude.
Oh,
I mean, really, just put him in.
Yes.
Just put him in, coach. Put him in. We got. Anyway, so yes, that was the beacon we all liked. Ray Stevenson as that character. The finale. It's 8 episodes long. We just watched the finale. It's a whole lot of just that Star Wars, like the witches using their witch power, which again, witchcraft in Star Wars, it's like, is this necessary? Like, I can bend my brain enough. If you want to try to look at the original trilogy as like as the Supreme Court looks at the Constitution, and we have to interpret all of the rules of the universe based on like 3 paragraphs. I know it's longer than 3 paragraphs, but you get what I'm saying. And it's just like, so like if I bend my Star Wars brain, I'm just like, okay, so Han Solo says, hokey religions and ancient weapons have no match for a blaster at your side. So it's not ridiculous to think that in the grand universe, there's multiple religions, multiple interpretations. So I don't know how much is supposed to like, is this have anything to do with the Force? Is this completely separate? Is everything connected to the Force? Just everyone has their own language for the Force. Some people call it witchcraft. Some people call it the Force. Some people call it Jesus walking on water, whatever. So I get that, but it's just weird to watch a Star Wars thing and then be like, no, there's witchcraft. And I'm like, did you need witchcraft? I really feel like you didn't.
Remember in the first episode, we reviewed this. That was like what I said was going to be the hardest thing for the normal audience of Star Wars to get their head around. But as Roscoe will probably know more about me, I mean, this is all Darth Maul stuff right here.
Darth Maul. It comes from his planet. So his species, which is Dathomirians. If you watched Clone Wars, Asajj Ventress was also a Dathomirian. And they have witchcraft through their lineage and their planet. So they have the stuff where they can bring people back to life. They can heal people. It is technically considered an alternate version of the Force. It's more dark side magic, but it does fall on the Force sense. And I think everything with the Force is the same. It's just used differently by the wielder. So
is the whole, this is all from Dave Filoni? Like Dave Filoni is the guy that made witchcraft in Star Wars?
Pretty much.
So I'm just imagining George Lucas and like Dave Filoni is like an 18-year-old intern and just being like, hey, George, like, what if we had a character that used witchcraft? Like, you're an idiot. No, it's the Force. Why would we use witchcraft? It's the Force. I created it. It's the Force. And just, he's been stewing for years being like, I'll get witchcraft into Star Wars. God help me, I'll get it.
I pictured it so much different. I pictured Dave Filoni at a keyboard and George Lucas like over his shoulders, like rubbing his shoulders, being like, good. Yes, perfect. Yes, magic.
Yes, destroy my property even more. Blah.
Then he reaches in his shirt and buttons it. Where are you going with this?
He's really encouraging
Jason,
all of Filoni's ideas, and not that sexual, but very encouraging. Yeah.
It's very encouraging, like Darth Sidious.
Jason was getting his backstories all from Literotica.
No, Palpatine voice. Good.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Anyway, so let's try to wrap this up. the end of the show is a dangling modifier or dangling modifier of an ending where it's built up as this big threat, Ahsoka, and oh yeah, let's talk about my favorite part. I know Remy, we had a force connection happening while we were watching this because I could just see Remy the way that like Luke Skywalker can hear Darth when he's in the ship. When we were watching this, we have Sabine has no force powers. She keeps trying to use the force, doesn't work. All of a sudden, she's being held up. Luke Skywalker's the lightsaber shakes and rattles and rolls, and then boom, gets it and bam. And it's like, okay, I was like, you guys have been trying to get her to use the force. They used it enough where she couldn't do it. And in the last episode, she uses the force to get the lightsaber. Okay, I can roll with that. I can't roll with approximately, just put the SpongeBob meme up 3 minutes later, where she is using the force to shovel Ezra across like 5 football fields up into the heavens onto a Star Destroyer. And that happened immediately. And Ezra went from not seeing her ever use the force to like, yeah, just throw me. And then he goes like Peter Parker, like flying in the Raimi movies, flying up into the crevices of the universe to get to the Star Destroyer. What in the fuck was that? Someone tell me what that was.
That was like 80% him, 20% her, something like that. That was mostly him.
I would go less with that one.
Yeah. I mean, like 90-10 or something like that. He did the majority of the
basically flew. That wasn't even a forced jump. He basically flew.
I mean, maybe all the forces combined together and they all like helped her. Just like in, the end of episode 9 where all the Jedi showed up to fight.
Some Dragon Ball Z power move. We're collecting all the power from it.
We're collecting all the power in this one instant.
No, I saw that shit coming a mile away. I literally was talking to a couple of my clients who are also watching the show, and I was telling them, I was like, I can't wait until I see Sabine pull a moon down on top of Admiral Thrawn's face, because I just knew we were going to get this crazy leap, and it actually, honestly, truly, I thought she was going to personally pull the Star Destroyer back to the planet. That's actually what I thought was going to happen. So the fact that it was just a still very ludicrous force throw, a force toss, a force, here you go. Like, I don't.
Alley-oop.
Yeah.
It's one of those where they put their foot in your hand.
Yeah, that's literally what they did. I mean, it's still so stupid because it literally is right before she barely gets the lightsaber. And then, oh, yeah, you're good. I'm fine. Just.
Actually, she's the granddaughter of Palpatine's foot massage.
She's Obi-Wan's long lost cousin, didn't you know?
Maybe she's long lost, like she's Sabine Fitzu or something. Like she's Kit Fitzu's long lost bastard child.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, she's not a Twi'lek. That's the other girl.
General, yeah, maybe General is. Anyway,
yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, just anyway, I want everyone's any final thoughts that you want to explore, any scenes or anything that gets to your mind. Jason, do you have anything that you want to wrap up, or you can generally also say if who you would recommend this show to, other than nobody?
Everyone. I mean, any Star Wars fan would love this, and then haters alike. There is actually one thing that I thought was very clever with this show. Everyone switched places by the end of this. Everyone who's on Dathomir is now not on Dathomir, and everyone who wasn't is now on it. Yeah, so everyone.
Am I supposed to like? Oh my god, they switched places! I can't believe they switched places.
I mean, the whole story of this was the stop Thrawn from getting off this planet, and he eventually got off the planet, and now all of them are actually stuck on the planet. So it's like the
they
failure.
Don't even seem remotely concerned about. They're just
that's actually
it. He got away, and then they're just smiling off into the Force Ghost sunset.
I actually have that written down as like their reaction to actually losing is very like strange. Like none of them are like, it's okay, we'll figure it out. Like all of them, like we're stuck on this planet, we'll figure it out. And then even like Hera's reaction to Ezra coming back. Like, he's wearing Thrawn's stormtroopers armor.
Oh, that was bad.
She has got, hey, it's not a Star Wars thing if it's not a guy impersonating a stormtrooper and pulling off the helmet. And, that is classic, But it's like, she is not even like, oh shit, Thrawn is back. That she didn't even utter that statement, there at the end. So yeah, I totally agree that the whole weight of this show was on the fact of him coming back, and when he actually did, it didn't feel like that. But I thought it was kind of clever though that he is there and they're not, so they're going to have to figure out how to get off this planet to now stop him, not be there for when he's there to now stop him. So, but I also see this the classic training arc, setting up too that they're on this planet now, and Ahsoka has the time now to train.
Sabine's gonna carry Ahsoka on her back around.
We'll have the rocks and then meditating with rocks floating around them. We're gonna get some straight up Dagobah scenes on Dathomir, I feel like. So, but yeah, that I thought was a little clever, and the fact that both of the Siths are on this planet as well, but both doing their own different things, like Homegirl raising her like a lightsaber, and then all the people that village be like, I guess we're gonna follow you now, so she's doing her own thing, Rey's doing their thing, everyone else is now doing their totally different thing, but from what they kind of started this whole series so I guess you guys don't see the cleverness as much as I do in that.
Yeah, I'm raising my lightsaber. I'm an 18-year-old girl with a bad haircut. Yeah.
Being a bad dye job. I don't know about the haircut thing, but yeah, it was bittersweet. I don't know if that's even quite the word, but I guess I don't know if it was after the credits or right there at the end, but the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker doing that smile right there, the classic like, I approve of what's going on kind of smile. Oh, Remy, I got the eye roll on yours. You got to have that. You got to have the zoom up.
The aging looks so bad. It's so obvious that he has an older man's face because his face shape has changed significantly. His eyes have turned down, and you can just look, if you just do a side by side of his face then and his face from when he's actually dies, or not even when he dies, because we're still for some reason using young Anakin as his Force.
Remember, he looks better than when he was burned. Just remember that.
Yeah, right. He looks better than when he was burned. He has 2 arms, like 2 legs. Anakin's Force Ghost should be what he looks like when he gets burned alive, where he's bald, no arms, no 1 arm, no legs, just like floating. That's what Anakin's Force Ghost should look like.
I mean, it's the classic movie thing of, if you're a ghost when you come back, are you like your best version of yourself or how you were when you died?
I mean, Obi-Wan's old, Yoda's old.
Yeah, good point. But it's about the classic Star Wars tropes of him smiling, approving, Force ghost kind of thing. So
yes, I approve that you let Thrawn get away, and now you're sitting here with all the crabs that Ezra's about to fuck. Very good job. Cross your arms more, like I taught you. Yes, cross those arms.
Only other thing I'd like to comment on is one of the better character arcs, I think, of all of this was Elsbeth, I think is what her name was. I always want to say Elizabeth, but Elsbeth. But this was the the Force, the magic old woman. What is this, another Oppenheimer?
It took every single molecule in Mav's body, just shot to his face to prevent it from making an eye rolling. Oh my god, I fucking can't believe what Jason is saying right now.
All right, so
I already rolled my eyes 2 minutes. Remy and I rolled our eyes at the same time the last time, so I really tried to
we need a counter running for this whole episode of an amount of eye rolls where it's like ding, ding, ding every time we hit an eye roll, because I know I had a couple too. Smith getting the powers and getting a fucking flaming sword to battle a lightsaber wielding, Jedis with. So I thought that was one of the better kind of in the character arcs, her getting the shadow power and then the tattoos on the face, and then going there and staying on the planet to like kind of let the person that she sacrificed everything to get out of here. Because I mean, she was the one who did most of the shipbuilding, the contracting, the getting, the mercenaries, all of this to happen, and then she got left on the fucking planet while everyone else got to dip off. So her story arc was a little bit better, I feel like, than a lot of other characters. So Yeah, that's about it as far as all the great things that this show did for me. I think I checked all the boxes there.
All the great things. Jason, you said this show for you is just content. And the great Denis Villeneuve, the greatest modern director, the greatest Canadian of all time. Denis Villeneuve recently was interviewed, and he was praising Oppenheimer, and he said Oppenheimer was, I'm paraphrasing, but he said Oppenheimer was basically great because it was made in the art. It was a film made to be art. It wasn't made to be content. And that's what you want, Jason and Roscoe. That's what you guys want. You guys want content. You're not interested in like good characters. No good characters. Good storyline. No good storyline.
Name one good character.
That's a lightsaber from that thing. I think I have the Lego version of that.
We can't get it all. I'll take some of it, Roscoe, help me.
Yeah, Roscoe, would you recommend this show, Roscoe? And who would you recommend this show for?
Dude, like, how did you not get the feeling that like this was your childhood when you went and saw episode 2 in the movie theaters? Like,
because it wasn't.
Like my childhood, when I went and watched episode 2, I felt like when I saw Ahsoka, when I saw Anakin come back in the World Between Worlds, and they had to do the Clone Wars reenactment. That I know we never touched on that, but that was my favorite part of the entire series. Was that flashback that they had, and then when he came back out with his red lightsaber in his Anakin form, just
Roscoe,
like.
Let me jump in a second because we actually got to watch this episode together, me and Roscoe, the Shadow Warrior, I think was the name of episode 5. And there was multiple points we're sitting on opposite ends of the couch, and there would be like scenes that come in. We both look at each other and have this like childish grin on our face of like those things in the Clone Wars. There was so many scenes of that in that episode. I mean, that's what this show was all about. Is like we were sitting there and be like, did you see that? Oh yeah, they did the little like Darth Vader thing in the smoke. Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, yeah. When did the lightsaber twirl around from like episode 3? I love that.
But what did he do that was cool? Like, this is the thing. Like, you guys are just saying he showed up and they did this little special effect where he flashes as Darth Vader. Oh, it's cool. Oh, look, he's like standing there. It's cool. It's cool when they do something with it that's cool. It's cool when Captain America picks up the hammer because it's been something that was built to other movies that were seen, and that it was this whole idea that you have to be worthy. It was this thing that was built, and then you see this payoff. Or it's like it's cool when Thanos snaps his fingers, or he whispers, like he's broken and he whispers, you should have gone for the head and snaps his fingers. Those things are cool actions that are done with like mythical weapons or items, and it's this thing that gets pulled off that's cool. You guys are just enjoying Ahsoka because it's like, that's Anakin Skywalker.
Well, no, I got
Anakin Skywalker. It's cool because he's Anakin Skywalker.
No, I got this one, bro. I got this one. No, so the cool part is that you understand that he comes out and he's fighting as Darth Vader in his Anakin form when he's trying to train Ahsoka. And at the very ending moment, after Ahsoka takes the lightsaber away, you see his eyes switch back. And he goes back to his blue eyes again. And it basically says at that moment, I have control over both my past and my present. And I am okay with being Darth Vader and being Anakin Skywalker. And I'm okay with the dark side and the light side of the Force. That was what that moment said.
What?
Yes.
No.
Go back and watch that. Go back and watch it.
No. Roscoe, you are extrapolating way more interesting ideas than Dave Filoni has ever thought of in his entire life.
But that's so Star Wars right there. I mean, because like I started with this off, we had such little content. You kind of had to build more into the stories. That's what the books were. That's what so much about this was, is like, there's so much that happens behind the scenes and you got to fill the content than what an 8-episode show can really have the time, money, or anything else to pull off. There's got to be some other buffers, to help out with it.
And now, wait a minute. Hold on a second. My brain is literally like misfiring from what you just said. So you're telling me that Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker is cool with being Darth Vader, the guy that slaughtered younglings. He's cool with that, but he gets to maintain his youthful exuberance Force ghost as a good person, because that's what George Lucas's whole stupid idea was, that he can't be old Anakin and Force ghost.
He's balancing the Force.
His Force ghost is balancing the Force?
Yes. You need to watch the story arc of the gods.
I don't fuck the gods. Okay, the gods don't give a fuck about Star Wars, and the Star Wars doesn't give a fuck about gods. It's about Force. It has nothing to do with fucking God. Dave Fugazi and his gods can go fuck themselves. I'm talking about the Force and the whole idea of the whole reason George Lucas had this stupid special edition to show that Anakin Skywalker was the good person that he once was. He wasn't the old guy who killed a bunch of people. He's the good person he once was. But now apparently, young Anakin gets to stay with his youthful exuberance, and everything gets to be all wonderful and great, except that he's cool with being Darth Vader, who slaughtered a bunch of people and murdered a bunch of people, and that's all cool because he's at balance with the Force. Dave Fugazi, so smart, so brilliant.
You still got to think of it that way. He balanced the Force between this terrible, like the goodness that the Jedi were. They overstepped their power. They overstepped the way that they were trying to balance the Force, and he had to come through and clean it out. That's what I mean. It sucks to be like the kid that died, but technically that's what Anakin had to do. He had to balance the Force by killing all the Jedi off. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say, but
that's not. Sorry, go ahead, Mav.
No. Go ahead. I've been rambling.
It is. I do love that train of thought that it's super fucked, but Anakin truly was the balance of the Force, and that's why he had to murder everybody, or didn't have to, but that's why he murdered everybody. The problem is George Lucas, when creating this, wasn't even thinking that directly. George Lucas is the epitome of a making it up as I go along, and he didn't have the intent. I mean, he didn't even have the intent that Luke was Vader's son until Empire Strikes Back actually was being made. So all these things, all these ideas are fans with better ideas than George Lucas himself and Dave Filoni for that matter, because again, you're just putting in more to this than Dave is really like. It's one of the, at least with the content provided in this show, it's a bit of a stretch to say that Anakin is Force Ghost. Anakin is balancing the Force after he's dead. What? What? Obi-Wan literally just shows up to tell Luke to go to Dagobah to get trained. And he's just like, no, don't go because Vader's going to kick your ass. And he's like, I'm going to go anyway. And that's the extent of what a Force Ghost really should be. The idea that he's somehow fucking mind-melding Matrix controlling the worlds as a Force Ghost is so preposterous.
Just think of how much more you would have enjoyed this show if we would have watched all of Rebels and Clone Wars. You know, that's what I...
Yeah. Oh yeah,
would have chemically castrated myself at this point.
Anyway, so Roscoe, you said you would recommend this show.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts? Did I stumble over you? Do you have any final thoughts on anything you haven't said?
No, I think that was the best thing I wanted to say was like just the episode 5 with Anakin and that flashback in the World Between Worlds. I know that we could like touch on another like 30 minutes of just that episode, but yeah, that episode relates to so many different things that it is your childhood. I feel like it's my childhood memory in that moment. So I'd recommend the show to everyone.
Remy, would you recommend the show to everyone?
No, I would not. I would recommend it to Whittle babies. Whittle babies, instead of watching Coco Melon, why don't you go and watch Ahsoka? It's about the same. No, I mean,
it's got to deal with these two knuckleheads.
Did your mom not love you enough as a kid for you to be this way?
I'm one of 1,700 children. Of course, she didn't love me enough.
My mom, our mom doesn't even remember our names half the time. That's how bad it is.
Just kidding, Mom. If you're listening to this, love you so much. Anyway, yeah, I wouldn't recommend this show. It's what do I say that I haven't already said? We haven't already said.
Third in your Star Wars shows. That's got to be recommendable.
It's literally like, I mean, if this is the bottom, like the worst possible content, it's like Mando season 2, Mando season 1, Mando season 3, this show, and then Boba Fett is like the worst atrocity that's ever been.
Oh yeah,
committed.
let's not talk about that one.
It's so bad. I haven't seen Solo, but I would like to believe that Boba Fett as a whole is worse content than Solo is.
Yeah.
Solo's
that's
pretty
all right.
bad.
Solo's bad, but not as bad as the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Boba
Did it
Fett's
have
really bad.
Power Rangers show up with pink? Anyway, I'm getting off track. No, I think that I do not recommend the show. Again, this is the end for me. This is the end for me, my friends. I'm gonna watch Andor because I've been told it's really good by reliable sources, and so I feel like I want to watch, purge my system, watch some good Star Wars stuff. But I can't do it anymore. It's just Star Wars has become, and the effort that is put into it is so low that it's more painful to watch than to not. And I'll still watch Marvel content because I guess I have to pick something. But Star Wars, I am Viking funeral off on shooting the flaming arrow as it goes over a waterfall.
It's not a good show. I would say people that have already seen it, it's for them. It's for the people that watched Rebels. It's for the people that watched Clone Wars, that likes expanded Star Wars stuff, that loves content. It's for the people that would just want to see lightsabers. It is not at all interesting. I would say that this show, that I would say Obi-Wan and Boba Fett are definitely the worst.
Oh, I keep on forgetting about Obi-Wan. I never watched it. Okay.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. I will. Okay, here's my positive thing. I'll say something nice about Dave Fugazi. The lightsaber fight scenes, or the scenes that involve lightsabers, are much, much, much better cinematography, or have much better cinematography than Obi-Wan, which had the worst Star Wars cinematography of lightsabers we've ever seen, where it's just shaky cam nonsense because Chloe Zhao has no idea how to direct action. So I will say that at least when the lightsaber, and even the stupid green sword that was fighting the lightsaber, even that, at least they had some long shots. They had some good action choreography. I'll give them that. But still, it's just, you don't care about the characters. And I guess that's why I would rate this show above Mandalorian season 3, because in Mando, I do care about Mando and I do care about Grogu. But they just butcher Mando so badly in season 3. So that show just tanks for me. Whereas this one, I really just don't care. So it's not like if I cared about Ezra, if I was like, Ezra's such a badass, and then he's in this, he's like Luke Skywalker, where he's just a fucking bum. Then I'd be like, well, now I hate the show so much because they ruined this character. But I don't know. I don't care about Ezra. I don't care about any of these characters. So, it's not. It was definitely not as painful as Obi-Wan or Mandalorian season 3. And I still haven't seen Andor, but I will watch Andor. So don't watch this show. What you should be watching instead is Last Page.